It seems like there's always new technology dropping in snowboarding. So how do you ever know what new gear is worth it? After just releasing their first model of snowboard boots, Union has just announced a completely new binding. Introducing the Source. I was lucky enough to have been riding these bindings since the spring. So in this video, we'll look at what is different with this product and what I truly think about it. Now, when I first got these bindings, the first impression was set when the sleek black briefcase arrived. Everything is packaged super nice to give the extra touch to show how much went into this binding. We've got a case for the hardware, which includes a tool, and a Union Lab card, which gives you quick access to customer service to leave feedback if you wish, and a way to stay in the loop for future Union Lab bindings to be released. With this initial release from the Union Lab, you get the choice of the Source Pro and the Source FC. What separates these bindings is the higher end components in the FC. At $699, the Source Pro has a nylon high back, aluminum heel cup, and the same ankle strap you'll find on the Atlas Pro. Stepping up to $999, the Source FC is a step up in aggression with a forged carbon high back, forged carbon heel cup, titanium hardware with magnesium ratchets. This all sets this model up to be the lightest binding on the market. On both the Pro and the FC, you'll see a new forged carbon base plate, which replaces any mounting disc. And this is the biggest talking point with these bindings. As far as I know, Burton has been the only previous company to eliminate a mounting disc with their EST bindings. But they can only be mounted to boards with an EST channel. Ironically, the Source can be mounted on any 4x2 snowboard insert pack, but it is not compatible with any EST channel board. So what's the big deal with removing a disc, you might ask? Well, it does a few things. For one, it creates an instant transfer of energy from your foot to the board. A big part of the design of this binding was to keep things as minimal as possible. With this new base, Union was able to get the profile of the binding to sit closer to the board than any of their bindings before. Additionally, removing the disc cuts down on weight as well. Like I said, these cannot go on the EST channel, but more importantly, they can only be adjusted between angles of +21 and -3 degrees. So if you like to ride a more aggressive angle on your front foot, or ride posi-posi with an angle greater than +3 on your back foot, you won't want these bindings. But for everyone else, this tech might just be exciting enough to want to drop in on. Here's what I thought about it. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you know I like stiffer gear. I wear Ride Insano boots, usually on the black Snowboard of Death, and switch between the Atlas and Atlas Pro bindings. So when I first heard about these bindings, I was pretty excited, thinking that it would give the exact type of ride that I looked for. Strapping in, I liked the feel of the minimal straps, and the toe strap felt like there was almost nothing there, which still kept me locked in. As most people would be, I was a little worried about being secured with only 2 screws, but had no issues with bindings loosening to report. The washers do have nice ridges, which lock into the base of the binding, and I think these help to keep everything tight and safe. For me, the ride was amazing. It was truly the most responsive binding I've ridden without being ultra stout and unrideable, as some people assume from experience with other forged carbon gear. The best way I could explain it is that it felt like the quickest connection I could have between my feet and board and how I could control my board. Combining this with the super light weight made me feel more like the board was a part of my natural body movement more than ever before. Hearing that, I think a lot of people would say, yeah, but my board and binding connection is super responsive already. I get that, and I would say that person is probably correct. But personally, I haven't felt a ride like this in all my years riding gear. I don't like riding forged carbon in the park, so I'll be planning to ride these everywhere else with my all-mountain setup. So stay tuned and subscribe to see how I'm riding them and which board I'll be throwing them on, which I think is the only choice of board to mount them on. I'd say this is a pretty specific binding for a certain rider, given the amount of forged carbon responsiveness in the FC, along with the price tag. With this, I would suggest this for a confident rider who knows how to ride and likes to charge. Torstein Horgmo was one of the riders that helped test this binding in the development stage to help give a lot of feedback. So if you watch how he has been riding the last 4 years in natural selection in his own videos, that can give you an idea of how this binding should be ridden. There's not going to be a lot of consumers out there riding as hard as Torstein, of course, but watching what he's been doing the last couple of years can show you how hard this binding can rip and what it can do. Big lines and big freestyle in the POW. If you're interested in either one of these models, you can find them in shop and online at radioboardshop.com to support local snowboarding. The biggest thing I think buyers will question is the price, which now with the Source FC may bring the most expensive binding to the market we've ever seen. The way I think about it is when a company has spent years developing something so new, it's bound to be expensive right off the bat. But I'm really interested to hear what you think in the comments. With something like this, the natural question is how long should they last? To answer that, I made this video which covers the same question for boots, boards, and bindings, which you can watch right here. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you somewhere on the mountain. Peace.